Hello, everyone. My name is Christy Russ, and welcome to the presentation. First thing I want to say is thank you for joining me. I know how precious your time is, so I am honored that you're giving me some of yours today. I have lots of great information to help you make meaningful change in your weight loss efforts, and more importantly, your health, of course. So get comfortable and stay tuned. So before we get going, I just want to go over a few technical things before we get started. This is only my second time doing one of these live video feed things. I've done lots of live webinars, but everybody apparently likes to see a face with it. So I don't love being in front of the camera, but you got to give everybody what they want. Last one was a whole year ago, so hopefully everything works out well. I will attempt to look into the camera instead of at the screen where all the people's faces are, but I do a lot of speaking, and of course you want to look at the audience, and so old habits kind of die hard, so I'm going to try and do that this time. If you have never been on a Google Hangout before, this is a public one, so you're not going to be able to interact live via video, but you will still be able to ask questions. On the top of your screen, there's like the little 9 dot ellipse thing, and you just click on that, and it will tell you, where to ask your question and stuff like that. So go ahead and ask your questions as they come to you. What I'm going to do is go through the whole presentation and then get to the questions at the end, just because it's easier than me stopping to see if there's questions and checking all that stuff. So it makes it a little easier for me and for the flow of everything. And if you don't have a Google Plus account, you're not going to be able to ask questions live here, but I will get to your questions, so I will tell you how to do that at the end. And if you miss any of it or you want to watch it again, this is being recorded, so it's going to be available on my YouTube channel to watch later, and again at the end I will give you the link on how to get that and all that other stuff. Okay, so let's get to it. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a renegade pharmacist now working as a functional medicine health coach. I have over 20 years of experience in helping people both improve and preserve their health. I'm certified with additional prescribing authority, authorization to administer injections in case anybody wants me to inject them today. I'm certified in bioidentical hormonal replacement, and I'm about a month away from being certified as a functional medicine practitioner. So I'm excited about that. That's about 8 months in the making, and I've learned a ton with that. And so I know the first question I get when I say that is people are like, what is functional medicine, right? Because I had never heard of it up until, a year or two ago. And what it is figuring out what the underlying issue is of your health concern, and then fixing that as opposed to the kind of Band-Aid symptom control solution that modern medicine has become. So that is infinitely more effective when you do that. And it also tends to prevent further issues from cropping up, which is really what most people want, right? You don't want to be just healthy now, you want to be healthy ongoing and not have these things popping up all over the place, right? It does that because you're looking at the whole person. So you're looking at physical, your lifestyle, emotional, all that kind of stuff. It's all together. So that's how I like that. And the reason I got started doing this is because after years of watching all my pharmacy clients suffering, as well as dealing with my own personal issues, I used my expertise to research a better solution. I figured there must be a better way. And so my goal is actually to make my work as a pharmacist obsolete by empowering people to take control of their health. And I do this by emphasizing realistic changes that everyone can do, as well as working individually with clients to tailor recommendations specific to their needs. So my knowledge as a pharmacist has been a really valuable tool in helping me get really significant results. Okay, so let's get going. Today I am going to let you know the surprising strategies that I got my cup in front of there, I just noticed. The surprising strategies that you must do for permanent weight loss. See, it's already technical stuff. And I'm going to go over all of this stuff as it pertains to weight loss. But for me, it's always been about the health, of course. And here's the thing, though. What I'm talking about today does both. So many people focus on the weight loss and think that they need to lose weight to get healthy. But in reality, it's the other way around. Usually you need to get healthy first, and then the weight loss happens, right? Actually, quite often it happens around the same time. But my point is, for lasting permanent weight loss, which is really what you want, right? You don't want to be doing this every year or every 6 months or every 3 years, right? The lasting weight loss, you need to address your health first. So sure, there's tons of weight loss programs out there that will help people lose weight. For sure they work. You lose your 20 or 30 pounds or whatever. But if you don't do it properly and address the whole picture and get healthy from the inside out, the weight never stays off. And then usually you end up worse than when you started, and you gain all the weight back plus more, and you feel worse and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But so I hope that makes sense. Okay, so here is the reality of what most of the people I talk to every day are dealing with. And there are so many people with health issues that are interfering with the life that they want. So maybe you have chronic pain, okay? Or maybe you're struggling with that never-ending weight loss scenario, right? That's probably why a lot of people are here today. Maybe you're just exhausted. That is so common. Or maybe you actually have a disease or condition that is limiting you. Or maybe you're just sick of taking a bunch of pills. And you know what? If you are like the majority of the population, you are some combination of any or all of those things, okay? And the super frustrating part is that, you're doing all the right things, but it's just not helping. Or hey, even worse, the right things keep changing, right? And so now you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing anymore. And my favorite is when you're talking to your friends or even your doctor about what's going on, they go, oh, that's just a normal part of aging. And my first lesson for you today is there is nothing normal about feeling crappy. Okay, what is normal is for you to have excellent health and feel fabulous right up until you slide into the grave. Okay, so don't let anybody blame your health issues on getting older, because that's just a crock. And so why do we have poor health, right? I mean, we live in this medically and technologically advanced society. Why is everybody so unhealthy, right? The problem is that our healthcare system is actually treatment care system. We wait until people start having issues, and then we throw a bunch of pills at them or surgery or whatever to try and get them better. And the fact is that we can only help 10% of those people. Because by the time you start having issues, over 80% of the damage has already been done. Okay, so really we can only help 10% of those people that we're medicating. But if we instead took a step back and did some true prevention, we would actually be able to help 90% of these people. Okay, and true prevention is not giving somebody a blood pressure pill or a cholesterol pill or a diabetes pill to bring down their sugars and all that stuff. What is true prevention is taking that step back, figuring out why it's elevated in the first place, and then fixing that. And that kind of gets back to that whole functional medicine business. Okay, and more importantly, if we would focus on the principles that I'm going to talk about, people would be a lot healthier for a lot longer, rather than just slowly dying for the last 20 years of their lives. And, that is the norm for our society. And really, nobody wants that, because aren't you more concerned about the quality of your life rather than the quantity of it? Yes, and most people are. So obviously, this is a rhetorical question. I think everybody would rather be this guy. I don't know if any of you know, but the guy, when this picture was taken, he's 93 years old. Isn't that awesome? Look at how fabulous he looks. Look how happy he is. We all want to be that happy, right? I know a lot of people that don't even want to live that long, because this is the picture that they have of themselves of that age. And you know what? If you just live the average lifestyle, that is how you're going to end up, if you even make it to that age. And I'm not telling you this to scare you or depress you. What I want to do is open your eyes and empower you to become this guy, because it totally is possible to have both quantity and quality of life. Okay, and I know this because I was well on my way into that downhill spiral of normal aging, right? And I know you're all thinking I don't look nearly old enough for that, but trust me, I was. And it actually started much earlier than I thought. I was in my late 20s, started having serious knee pain. And I figured I'd get it eventually. I was always really into sports, and when you're young, you're invincible, and you play through injuries, and you don't let yourself heal, and all that kind of stuff, right? Walking around on a concrete floor in the pharmacy for 9 hours a day, that really helps too. Anyways, I had to take anti-inflammatory and painkillers, which of course I knew was just a Band-Aid solution. So I spent many years and a heck of a lot of money trying a whole bunch of different things that were supposed to fix the problem, okay? And nothing worked. And in the meantime, we had started a family, and I had all that extra pregnancy weight that never seems to want to go away. Any moms in the audience will know exactly what I'm talking about. And, every year, seemed to be an extra 2 or 3 pounds. And pretty soon I found myself like 30 plus pounds overweight, and my knees were constantly throbbing all day long. Okay, so a couple things scared me at that point. First, I thought I was going to have to stop playing basketball. And I have played competitive basketball almost my entire life. It is a huge part of my life, and I was devastated to have to give that up. But there was no way I was going to be able to keep going with the weight and my knees and everything. But what really freaked me out is that I had seen my situation enough times in the pharmacy to know where this was going. And I was shocked, and I felt ripped off. This is only supposed to happen to people that don't take care of themselves. I followed my own advice, did all the right things, right? So I'm also a bit of a planaholic, and this was not in my plans. And so being the geeky scientist type that I am, I did a whole bunch of research to figure out how I was going to stop this. There's no way I'm going to put up with this, right? And so I learned a whole lot of things that they do not teach you in pharmacy or in medical school. I do know that. And when I applied what I had learned, within a couple of months, my knee pain was gone, and totally gone. No painkillers required. And it was just a few months after that all the rest of the weight disappeared, and it's never come back. And so I'm happy about that. And I also had a few added bonuses that I was not expecting, because other than that, I thought I felt pretty good. I was pretty healthy. But I don't get sick anymore, which is unheard of in the pharmacy. There's so many germs. Honestly, the people are polite. They cough on their prescription before they have to do kind of thing to cover their mouth. But I used to get like 4 or 5 colds a year. And if I've had that many in the last 8-10 years, I'd be shocked. And anyway, I also sleep fabulously. No more of that waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, which I know is so common with a lot of people I talk to. And I just have lots of energy. I feel great. So yay me, right? But really, the sad part about my story is that the principles that fixed my issues are the same principles that fix just about every health issue out there. But people don't know about it, and so they're suffering when they don't need to be. Okay, and honestly, the transformations that I had seen when people put these into practice, if I hadn't seen the before and after with my own eyes, honestly, I would not have believed that just making a few simple changes would have such a dramatic effect on people's lives. And so I saw that, and I thought, my goodness, we really have to get this information out there. And so that's why I'm speaking to you here today. So let's get to it then. So the first thing you have to get right is diet, which I'm sure is of no surprise to anyone. But do you know what that diet's supposed to be? Because first we had the no fat, then we had the no carb, and then we've got gluten-free, dairy-free, paleo, and whatever the heck else they decide to come up with, right? So first of all, diets don't work, period. Okay, 90% of people that go on a diet gain all of that weight back plus more. And every time that you do that, not only do you make it even harder to ever lose that weight again, but you're actually changing your body chemistry so that it sets you up for other health problems as well. So not only do they not work, it's not like it just keeps you the same, it actually makes matters worse. Okay, and I'm going to explain that a little bit later. But lots of reasons for it. One of them is just diets are too extreme. It's not realistic to live in our society and actually eat that way indefinitely. And you need to make permanent changes. Think about it. It took the lifetime of eating what you're doing to get your body where it is now, expecting to fix it all in a month or 2 or 6 even is a little ridiculous, right? And also diets tend to be based on unbalanced nutrition. Like I said, they tend to, they're cutting out whole food groups like fats and carbs, like I just said. But hey, guess what? Our bodies need fats and carbs. And one thing I'll let you know, because I know lots of people are still doing this, you can start this today. Stop eating that no fat, low fat stuff, okay? Because all they do is take the fats out, replace it with a bunch of sugar and chemicals and junk that's just way worse for you. So trust me, you're much, much better off with the full fat version, processed food aside. But anyways, we'll get to that later too. But really, the most important reason that diets fail is because they don't take into account the way your body reacts to the foods that you eat, okay? And this is basically a nice little chart of how, what happens in a typical day in your average diet, okay? So let's say we start here. You have breakfast or you eat, whatever. And for most of the food choices that we make, our sugar goes just spiking way up there, okay? And every time you spike your sugar and it goes really high, it damages the arteries, puts little nicks in the arteries and stuff, and otherwise is just bad for you. And your body knows this, so it pumps out a whole bunch of insulin to get that glucose out of there, get the blood levels down, okay? So there's the insulin. Insulin does a fabulous job, does too good of a job, in fact, and then then you end up way down here. And this line, this is the hunger line, but basically this is the line where your brain can function. Your brain only functions on glucose. So when it goes below that, brain's sort of an important organ. Your body's like, holy God, we need some sugar in here, and tells you to eat, right? But not just, something that's going to get some sugar eventually. It tells you to eat the stuff that's going to give you sugar right now. And so then you end up, and then you just do this cycle all day long. This is an uncontrollable hunger. You must eat. Your brain needs to function, okay? And so that's what happens. You feel hungry sooner, you eat a whole lot more. When you make the right food choices, you eat, your blood sugar goes up a little bit, and it takes a way lot longer before it gets down to the point where you're hungry again. But you'll notice it never dips down below that, holy God, I must eat or I'm going to die hunger sort of thing, right? And so you're fuller for a lot longer, that time period. So anyways, but unfortunately, this is our Western diet. We have been raised eating this way. And it's really bad for your health. The typical diet, extremely inflammatory, okay? And inflammation is the underlying cause of just about every disease that's out there. I think most people have heard that by now. It sucks the energy out of you. You know how like 3, 4 in the afternoon, you want to crawl under your desk and have a little snooze? That's because of the food choices you're making. It also causes insulin resistance. Okay, and this is probably the most important thing to understand. And I know it's like a little bit like a biology lesson here, but this is a major part of having excellent health and weight loss. So just bear with me for a minute here, okay? When you are constantly putting all of that insulin into your bloodstream, eventually you end up with insulin resistance. And basically that's because it's there all the time. That's where your body just starts ignoring it, right? It's like, yeah, seen you all the time, go away. But when it's ignoring it, the insulin is what gets the glucose into your muscles so it can use it and energy and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so when it's ignoring it, the body thinks that there's not enough there. So it puts out more insulin. We're like, hey, it's not getting in there. Let's get some more insulin. And so basically you end up with just a ton of insulin in your body, right? So what? Okay. First of all, insulin is the hormone that tells your body to store fat. Okay. So especially the belly fat, that's the really unhealthy kind. Okay. And all that insulin makes your body react like it's in starvation mode. So then every calorie that you consume gets held onto, stored as fat. Okay, so it doesn't matter how low cal that meal is that you had. If you are insulin resistant, or if you're insulin resistant, it'll get stored as fat. Okay, and that's why I find it completely ridiculous that other diet programs don't take this into account. Okay, because how are you going to have any kind of success when you have this hormone raging through your body telling it to store fat? Okay, and because of that, what ends up getting lost on all the other diets is muscle. And that's a big reason why your metabolism goes into the toilet, and then you gain everything back plus more when you're done. Okay. And yeah, so insulin resistance is also responsible for a lot of the health problems that we have today. It leads to the metabolic syndrome. Okay. Metabolic syndrome is just a bunch of risk factors that put you at high risk for lots of health problems, especially heart disease, stroke, diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is the guaranteed endpoint of insulin resistance. Okay, after years of pumping out all of that insulin, the pancreas just finally is like, ugh, and gives up, and you have diabetes. And type 2 diabetes has actually been declared an epidemic by the World Health Organization. It is the only non-infectious disease to be declared an epidemic. And it's so sad because it's almost 100% preventable and reversible with the right lifestyle modification. So when you eat the right types of foods, not only are you going to lose weight, but you're going to avoid or reverse all of those health problems that I just talked about. Okay, so that's why the biology lesson there. And the other bad thing about eating this way is it makes you crave more crappy foods and makes you hungrier. Okay, and eating even one meal like that can give you those cravings for up to 2 days afterwards. So we got all these people out there calling themselves emotional eaters and think they don't have any willpower. Hey, it's just your body's normal physiological reaction to the foods that you're eating. So, and you can't help yourself. Like I said, it is an uncontrollable hunger, right? And so one of my clients, actually, he was a confessed craving junkie. And it was really bad. He was like a 4 or 5 Coke a day, bag of chips and donuts and all the stuff that he knew he wasn't supposed to eat, but he just couldn't help himself. And when I told him that just changing the types of foods that he would eat would eliminate his cravings, he looked at me like I had 10 heads and I was completely insane. And honestly, I think the only reason that he even tried it was because he wanted to prove me wrong. He was like, no way, I'm way past that. So sure enough, after the 3rd day, his cravings were totally gone. And by the end of the week, he was down 22 pounds, felt great. So of course he kept it up. And by the end of 3 months, he was down almost 70 pounds. And he said he had more energy than he'd had in decades, like back in his teens. And and he was able to stop his blood pressure and cholesterol medication because of just changing the foods that he ate. So it makes a big difference, but it means relearning what types of foods are actually healthy. For example, can you pick out the unhealthy foods in this list here? Okay, just have a quick look and see if you can pick out some of them. So it's actually a trick question. All of these things are actually unhealthy. They cause that sugar spike that I was showing you in that little graph. Okay, and we got some diet staples in here, right? We got rice cakes, you know, even cantaloupe and orange juice, that kind of thing. So, you know, we got potatoes. Who thought potatoes were? And granola, hey, that's supposed to be healthy for you, right? You know, it's got lots of fat, the crappy fat, lots of sugar. So it really takes some relearning to find out what foods you're supposed to be doing. Because I got clients that are eating all kinds of food because I'm eating healthy. They're eating all the stuff that they really should be avoiding, and they're avoiding all this stuff that they really should be eating because they think that's the healthy way to go. So it's a whole re-education, and that's the first thing I teach my clients for sure. Okay, so moving on to number 2 is nutrition. And I know you're all going, isn't that what we just talked about? Right. But when I'm talking about nutrition, I'm talking about getting the proper amount of nutrients into your cells so that your body can function the way it was designed to. Okay, and trust me, does a much, much better job than any medicine that we could possibly give you. Okay, and here is just a small schematic of all the stuff that goes on inside of each one of your cells constantly. Okay, and so as you can see, it's rather complex. But anyways, Each one of these steps requires vitamins, certain vitamins and minerals. And if the vitamin is or mineral is not there in a good enough amount, then that step isn't going to happen. And so then it stops right there. So whatever it was doing, you know, it takes like however many steps to make a protein, however many steps to make energy. Whatever it was doing is not going to happen. Okay. So just remember, you know, your body is a machine. And just like any machine, it needs the right type and amount of fuel. And really, the way that we feed our bodies is like heading on a road trip with a half a tank of gas and a flat tire. You know, it might get you there, but it's not going to be pleasant, and it's highly unlikely, really, right? But unfortunately, this is the way we've been taught our whole life. You know, eat a healthy, balanced diet, and you're going to be great, right? So everybody eating that perfect diet 24/7? Yes, of course not. Had you said you were, I would have called you a liar. The fact is that 97% of the population isn't even getting the recommended daily amount of nutrients. Okay, and you know what the worst part of that statistic is? The RDA levels are already hopelessly inadequate. Did you know that they were developed by the US Army in World War II to see how little they could get away with feeding their soldiers? And somehow that minimum amount became the recommended amount. Okay, and our health has been kind of crap ever since then, really. But think about it. Do you really want to give your body just the minimum amount it needs to just not die? Well, not if you want excellent health, okay? And this is just a few examples of the huge differences between the RDA levels and the optimal levels. Okay, and I'm not going to go into them really, but I mean, they don't even have an RDA for omega-3 and grapeseed, which is antioxidant, which I could talk for hours about both of those things, right? And it's a huge difference. And remember, 97% aren't getting the RDA levels. So guess how many people are getting the optimal levels? Yeah, 0. Okay, and it's because it's physically impossible. It's physically impossible to get all of the nutrients that you need just from your food. Okay, a whole bunch of reasons for that, which I'm not going to go into. You know, maybe 60 or 100 years ago, you know, it was, but not today. Okay, I've actually done the studies, the research. Take 22,000 calories a day for you to get the optimal amount of nutrients into your body. So obviously that's not going to happen. It costs you a fortune, first of all, and I think, you know, obesity might be a bit of an issue, and then you'd have other health issues going along with it, right? So what are you going to do? High quality supplements are totally necessary today, okay? And I stress the word high quality though, because what most people also don't know is that you can't just mosey into the store and pick up some supplements. Doesn't matter what store, whether it's health food or what. You are going to be woefully disappointed with that. Okay, as a pharmacist, I will tell you that the supplements you're buying in a store are almost useless. Okay, and lots of reasons for that too, which I'm not going to go into. There's just tons and tons, but just a couple basic ones that most people don't know. First of all, they're based on RDA levels, and I just finished telling you how inadequate the RDA levels are, right? Also, the quality of the manufacturing is so poor that more than 60% of the time, the tablet doesn't even dissolve when you take it. And if that basic step isn't happening, it doesn't matter what is in it, because at that point, you are literally flushing your money down the toilet, okay? And let's say it does get absorbed and get into your bloodstream. The quality of the ingredients is so poor that it doesn't do the job inside your body that you're hoping. So you're not going to get the results that you want. And so I tell people that. Most people are totally shocked. They're like, what? There's got to be regulations. How is that possible? But unfortunately not. Supplements are not subjected to the same standards as pharmaceuticals. And they're basically food, right? So as long as there's nothing in there that's going to immediately kill you, okay to sell, all right? Let me tell you, it took me a heck of a lot of research on my part to find some supplements that would actually do some good. There's literally less than 5 companies doing it properly. And for us here in Canada, we have access to 2 of them. So anyways, I know most people don't have the time or the expertise to do that kind of research. So one of the things I do is help my clients get on a quality supplement regimen that's actually going to make a difference to their health, because that's where you're taking them, right? I mean, if they're supposed to help you. So are you really getting a good deal with that $20 bottle of vitamins? But really, if it's that cheap, don't bother, honestly. But the opposite isn't always true either. I've actually had clients that were spending a lot more money on other supplements and saw a huge difference when they switched over, and it was actually costing them quite a bit less. So, you know, you need to know what you're doing there. But even starting a high quality supplement regimen, if you just did that, you know, it can make a huge difference. I actually had a client with myasthenia gravis, which is kind of like MS, just more severe. And her life consisted of getting up, going downstairs, and all she could do was hang out on the couch all day long, so that she would have enough energy to cook supper for her family and then get back up the stairs again. If she did any more than that, she was done for days. Okay. And all I did at the beginning was get her on a supplement regimen. And literally within 2 weeks, she was running up and down the stairs just because she could. She was so excited. She needed to show me that she was doing this. So she got her life back. She was, you know, playing with the grandkids and able to do the stuff she wanted to do. So it's not just theoretical. It really makes a huge difference. Okay, so the third key to excellent health is exercise. And I know you were hoping not, but unfortunately it is true. But I am going to tell you that you don't need to do nearly as much as you thought, so then we can be friends again, okay? But an important benefit of exercise is increasing your muscle mass, okay? The amount of muscle that you have determines your metabolism. And starting about age 30, your muscle mass starts going down, and that's why your weight starts going up, even though you haven't really changed anything else because of your metabolism. And of course, if you've ever been on any of those weight loss diets, like I said, you've lost a lot of muscle mass. So you really need to build that back up. And it's never too late to do it. 80, 90-year-olds can build up muscle mass, okay? But really the most important benefit of exercise is the metabolic changes that happen when you do it, okay? The amount of calories that you burn, totally irrelevant, really, in the scheme of things. So you can stop looking at that little calorie counter on your treadmill or elliptical or whatever, okay? I give you permission to do that. When you exercise, it causes all kinds of hormonal changes, right? First of all, it increases your sensitivity to insulin, because now your muscles are actually needing it, right? Remember that insulin insensitivity thing that I was just talking about? Yeah, so your muscles use up all of that. So then the muscles, then you become more sensitive. The glucose goes into your muscles. It gets used rather than being stored as fat. Okay. Another metabolic change that happens is getting your hormones back in balance, which I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. But insulin is a hormone too. I've already talked about that, but exercise stimulates all kinds of hormones that are responsible for keeping you in good health, keeping you at a healthy weight, and different types of exercise stimulate different types of hormones though. So you need to be doing the right ones at the right times so that you get the results that you're looking for. Okay, obviously way more benefits to exercise, but I'm not going to go into those today because what I really want you to know is this. To not be doing that long, slow cardio exercise, okay? If you are doing that, not only are you wasting your time, but you're actually making your health worse, okay? Seriously, your workouts should be 20 to 30 minutes maximum. Otherwise, you're just training your metabolism to conserve energy rather than burn it, which is kind of opposite of what most people are going for when they're exercising, right? And you're creating a whole bunch of free radicals and stress hormones and stuff that are also bad for your health. So stop doing that. Basically, all you need is 3 20-minute workouts a week for good health. That's only 1 hour total. So everybody can carve out 1 hour a week into their schedules. Trust me, I have helped many of my clients do that when they didn't think they had any time. Okay, because it has to become a habit, has to become a regular thing. All of these things you got to do all the time. Okay, but that 1 hour needs to be intense, though. They said intense. You know, none of this. You should be able to carry on a conversation stuff. Okay, all you need, and you do need to be doing strength training as well. Most women do not do that. So you could be exercising all over the place, but if you're not doing it properly, you're not getting the health benefits. And honestly, that made a huge difference for me. I made the first couple of changes that I talked about, got the knee stuff under control. Everything was great. First half of the weight came off, but then it just kind of stayed there. And I was playing basketball twice a week. So I figured, hey, that's enough, right? But then I added some strength training, and literally, probably within a month or so, the rest of the weight came off. It stayed off. I'm way more toned, much stronger, just feel much, much better. So, so it makes a big difference. So those are the three most important points, and they're equally important. You can't ignore any of them, okay? Without having all three of these things going on, you're not going to have excellent health. But it is possible to be doing these right and not be feeling well if you don't have the last two things under control, okay? So the fourth thing is stress management and getting restful sleep. So you know how frazzled you feel when you're stressed? Well, there are health consequences to that. Your body responds to stress by pumping out a whole bunch of adrenaline, okay? It's preparing you, that's that fight or flight thing, right? So you're either fighting the tiger or you're running from it, okay? Because that was the only stress we used to have, right? So, but even if it's just a deadline at work, same response happens, okay? And the adrenaline raises your heart rate, raises your blood pressure, mobilizes all that glucose so that your muscles can use it, right? And this works awesome when the stress is only a couple of minutes and you use all that energy, but not so much when it's the type of mental stress that normally everyone is dealing with nowadays, right? The only other time that we had long-term stress was when when we were in a famine. So when the stress continues, your body sort of assumes that it's in a famine, and then it goes into, starvation mode, for a better term. It conserves as much energy as possible, ramps down your metabolism, and starts storing fat. And again, it's that belly fat. And even if it's just mild stress, sometimes you don't even realize it. We are so used to the busy lifestyles that we have created for ourselves that we don't even realize that our body is viewing it as stress. And anyway, so your body keeps pumping out all this cortisol, right? That's the stress hormone. And that's when you're kind of like what we call you're tired but wired. And you're tired, but you can't really sleep. You can't rest because you're anxious. It's kind of like you've had too much caffeine, okay? And that's why I include the restful sleep in this category, okay? Because, they affect each other. If you have stress, you don't sleep well, you're not sleeping well, you're not repairing yourself. And so that's a stressor on the body, and then it just does. So you fix one, that tends to fix the other one as well. So anyway, what happens after months or years of this chronic stress, your adrenal gland just can't keep up. And that's when the real exhaustion sets in. And that's when caffeine becomes a necessity just to make it through the day. You come home from work, you crash on the couch, and you can barely get yourself up just to get back into bed, okay? And unfortunately, I am seeing a lot of this lately, especially women. Everybody is just so busy nowadays. We put so much pressure on ourselves to do everything and to do it perfectly, right? And it takes a lot more time to correct this problem, but it's totally essential for lifelong health. Okay? So proper diet and nutrition are a huge part of correcting this stress response, but this is something that you can do today, and that's cut out the caffeine completely. And I know I say this and people's eyes get all big and I'm panicky and I've stressed you out more now, right? But what happens is the caffeine gives you that boost of energy because it stimulates cortisol, which is the stress hormone production. But what we really want to do is you want to baby your adrenals and sort of train them to only produce the cortisol when your body is truly, under stress and truly an emergency. Okay. And so, trust me, like the first few days are going to be bad and you're going to miss it, blah, blah, blah. But after a week or so, you won't even notice the difference. And one thing I will say though, if you're more than a 2 cup of coffee a day equivalent to caffeine person, just ramp it down a little bit rather than just cold turkey cut it out. Because first of all, it can sometimes be a little dangerous, but also you'll have nasty withdrawal effects and stuff like that. So just ramp it down over a few weeks. But that is one thing that would really, really help for your stress and sleep. And this The fifth thing is balancing hormones. And I've already talked about insulin and cortisol and how those affect your health. Those are hormones, okay? But there's so many others. And I know most people know about the thyroid, the estrogen, testosterone, all that stuff. But there's so many others, like growth hormone and leptin, and IL-2, and just tons and tons of stuff, and they all have to be in balance, right? And the thing that happens with hormones is when one is off, it throws another one off, it throws another one off, and then it just becomes this big, messy cycle of nastiness, okay? And hormones are a big reason why health issues tend to multiply or become obvious in middle age, okay? Because that natural decrease in the sex hormones is just kind of becomes the straw that broke the camel's back. It just affects all the other ones that much, okay? Your body can take an amazing amount of abuse for a long time, and at some point it's just like, oh, it's too much, and then it needs your help to fix it. And the difficulty with hormone imbalances is that, because they're all interrelated, it's really tricky to pinpoint the cause, and it requires looking at all of your symptoms. And I know the really frustrating thing is you go into the doctor and tell them about all your, issues, and they send you for lab tests, which all come back normal, right? So the doctor's like, you're fine. But meanwhile, no, I'm still feeling like crap, and I'm not fine. Okay. And so it really requires someone to look at the whole picture. And that's what I do, basically. And perfect example of how these last two keys can be almost the whole problem. One of my clients was doing just about everything right. Her diet was great. She was exercising a lot, which I almost never see. But she was totally exhausted. She was having mood swings and hot flashes, and she kept just gaining more and more weight. She had lots of hip pain. She'd been to her doctor several times. All her tests were normal. And so the doctor's like, I can't help you. I'm so sorry. So I started her on a supplement regimen and a diet that supported her adrenals, her liver, her joints. I actually had to get her to eat more and exercise less. I know people like that. And do some different exercises. Well, almost immediately, her energy level went up. She was sleeping way better. Her mood swings disappeared, and her hip pain was pretty much done. Okay. And then it was a few months later, the weight finally started coming off, and now she's at a healthy weight. And something to note there, like I alluded to at the beginning, is that despite how great she was feeling, she was really disappointed that the weight wasn't coming off right away. But I knew it would. She needed to get healthy first. Like I said, so many people think that they need to lose weight to get healthy, but it's usually the opposite. You need to get healthy first. So a healthy body will maintain the proper weight. Okay. So that's really the 5 main principles that I've kind of narrowed excellent health down to. I've tried to incorporate a few of the quick tips for you to do right away in each one of those. But I know I have lots of people ask me all the time, if I was just going to do one thing, what would that be? Okay, what should I do? What's the one thing I should do? Okay, and what I'm going to do is give you that at the end after I've kind of wrapped everything up and gone over the questions and stuff like that, just so that it's like fresh in your mind and you're ready to go forward with that. Okay. So yeah, like I said, that is you get those 5 things right that I just talked about, and you're going to be the 90-year-old that's keeping up with the 20-year-olds. You'll be mentally and physically able to do whatever it is that you love to do right up until you die. Okay. So you can either carry on with the status quo, but don't do that. You know what? It sucks. I'm telling you, at least once every single day in the pharmacy, I have at least one person tell me about how much it sucks getting older. And I know people always think I'm exaggerating when I say that, but honest to God, at least once a day. Okay. So all it takes is making a few simple changes for you to have excellent health like this guy, so you can have the life that you want. And the only thing stopping you from doing that is knowing which one of these things you need to change and how to do that. Because everyone's situation is a little bit different though, right? And without knowing how to interpret yourself, you're likely to just keep plugging along, trying different things, and not getting the results that you want, okay? And that's why I decided to start health coaching. I saw how much people were struggling to do the right things and not getting the results they were looking for. And once I started working one-on-one with people, the transformations they got were literally life-changing. And I can honestly say that I have helped more people in the last few years doing this than I have in my entire 20 plus years as a pharmacist, which is really sad to say, but unfortunately just the way our medical system is, right? Because it's not really about the information. You know, I just barely scratched the surface here today. I could talk for hours about every one of these things and more. But I could literally give you all of the information that I have, but without the background knowledge for you to know what you need to do and when you need to do it, it's almost as useless as all the wrong information that's out there, right? So at this point, you know you need to make some changes, but you don't know where to start, right? Because if you did, you wouldn't be here. You'd be out there enjoying your fabulously healthy life, right? And I don't like to give people just a little bit of information and then leave you hanging, because I don't think that helps anybody, okay? So I am offering everyone $150, a complimentary one-on-one health consultation with me. Okay, it's $150 value, but I'm giving it to you today as my gift to you for listening to me and taking this time and taking that proactive step. Okay, so what we do is it's a phone consult, so anybody can do it. All you need is a phone. And we just talk on the phone about your health concerns, and I will give you some tips and help you develop a strategy specific to your needs, okay? And then you can go forward. So regardless of what health issue you have, how long you've had it, how hopeless you think it is, whether it's weight, disease, exhaustion, pain, whatever, you know, there's always something that can be done, trust me. Some of the most dramatic results I have seen are from people who have tried everything and thought that there was nothing else that could be done. Okay. So to take advantage of this consultation, just send me an email. I've got it here for you to let me know that you want your consult, and I'll email you back the link to book the time that works best for you. Okay. My email's here, christyrusshealthcoach@gmail.com. If you're already a newsletter subscriber, you can just reply to one of my emails. It'll come right to me. Just say, hey, I want to book a consult, and I'll send you that link. Okay. If you are not a newsletter subscriber, I would highly recommend signing up. I research the latest health news and give you the lowdown on what's really important, what you need to know, what you don't need to know. Okay, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And I give you real life usable tips that everyone can do, none of that unrealistic stuff that nobody can possibly do. And don't worry, you're not inundated with emails. I only do it twice a month. I only have time to write that many. You don't have time to read more, so it all works out good. So go on and send me the email to book your consultation right now while you're thinking about it. You know what? Life gets in the way. And so pretty soon weeks turn into months and then years, and you're exactly back here next year doing the same thing, right? So I want to give you an incentive to do it so you don't procrastinate like most people do. So if you book your consult by the end of this week, I will also send you my report on the foods that you should be eating and the ones you should be avoiding, because I know that's a big question for everybody. So you could start, doing that first principle that we talked about. So all you do is book your consult by the end of, January 10th. And of course, the consult can be after that. And then once we have the consultation, I will give you, the steps that you need to go forward. And then I will send you that report on the foods you should be eating and stuff. So you will be well armed to go forward into 2016 and make it a healthy year. Okay. Do I have more? I don't think so. So this webinar is being recorded because no matter what time you choose to do it, there's a whole bunch of people that can never make it, right? So you can view it on my YouTube channel, which is here, the youtube.com Christy Russ 1. Apparently there's another Christy Russ. And I'm attempting to do an MP3 recording so that you can listen to it on your phone or in your car or whatever, because I like to do that. So hopefully it worked. Let me know if you want the recording. I'll send that to you with the link too. And I'm going to post the link for the recording on my Facebook page also. So if you feel this information would be beneficial to someone that because I know when you're listening to this, you're like, oh, so-and-so should totally hear this. Please pass the link along so they can watch it as well. okay? Because most people don't know this information. And it wasn't rocket science, right? So any help you can give them to let them know that there is a better way is helpful for them, and they appreciate it. That's kind of all I officially had to say. I'm going to answer any questions we have now. If you haven't entered any questions, do it now. So you just, like I said, you just click on that little icon on your thing and the multiple squares, and it opens up the question box. And then you can just click on the tab on the bottom that says ask a question, or somewhere it comes up to ask a question. Anyway, if you're not able to ask a question, go to my Facebook page and post it in the comments under the recording link that I'm going to put there here right away. Of course, you can email me your questions as well, or we can talk about them during your consultation that you're going to book today. Right? So let's see what we have for questions here. Okay, what are the supplements you recommend? Yes, I always get that question. Unfortunately, there's legal reasons. It's not something I'm allowed to just say in a presentation like this. I can tell you individually though, because then it's a personal recommendation as opposed to it's the pharmacy legal schmeagle stuff. So, and that's the best way anyways, right? Because not everyone needs the same stuff. So this way, when we do our consult, I can say, yeah, you should have this, you don't need this, blah, blah, blah. And I will personalize it directly for you and your health situation. So yeah, that is definitely something we should do there. But yeah, that is a great question, because if you were paying attention, that's what you really need to do. It's one of the easiest things to do, right? Is to start a supplement regimen. Next question. I do triathlons and Ironman competitions. There is no way I could limit my training to 30 minutes. So are you saying that I need to give this up to be healthy? Oh, yeah. Did I not say that? Usually I do. Absolutely not. You know, when I'm talking about exercise, I'm talking about what most people think they need to do for exercise, right? You know, everybody thinks they need to do an hour or more a day, 5 days a week. And of course, for most people, that's not even doable. So then they end up doing nothing, which is way worse, right? And because they can't do it all right. Okay, so if you enjoy exercising and that's a big part of your lifestyle, which it obviously is if you're doing this, then by all means carry on. But, and there is a big but there, then it's even more important that you're getting the right high quality supplements. Because when you're exercising at that intensity, there is, like I said, there's a lot of free radical production. There's a lot of stress hormones. It's a big stress on the body to exercise that intensely. Okay, so that's something we can discuss in the consultation as well, about what supplements you need to be taking so that you are offsetting all of that, the bad parts of exercising that much, and only getting the good parts, right? Because there's good parts, obviously, of exercising that much. And, you know, people think, oh yeah, that's great. But, you know, you always hear about that marathon runner who, you know, dropped dead of a heart attack or something like that. It's because of the extra strain on the body that type of exercise does. But there's totally a way to get around that. Okay. So, so it doesn't look like there's any more questions. So either everybody fell asleep or I did a fabulous job of explaining myself. Or I know lots of people don't have a Google Plus account too. So to end off, as promised, I will give you that one key thing that you could do to make the biggest impact on your health. Like I said, when people ask me, what's the one thing I could do? It's the JERF principle, JERF, okay? That stands for just eat real food, okay? So if we would just stop eating all of the processed food, you would be shocked at the difference that it would make in your health for most people, right? Honestly, take a look at the ingredient list on a lot of the stuff that you have in your pantry, a lot of the stuff that you're eating. There's all kinds of stuff in there that you can't pronounce. There's a whole bunch of, you know, pesticides and GMO and all that other stuff, right? So if we, you know, steer clear of that middle of the grocery store, that's all the processed stuff, right? It's in boxes. It's been sitting there for months and months. You know, the outside of the grocery store, that's why they tell you that. And eat the foods that only have the one ingredient, which is itself, right? So chicken, broccoli, you know, cauliflower, whatever, right? If you do that, it makes a big difference. So that also means, cooking your own meals. We eat out way more than we really should. But unfortunately, I do realize that because my family is kind of that way too, it's very difficult to do that, and it's almost impossible to do it exclusively. And so that's kind of where I come in, helping people either figure out how to do that and fit it into their life, or if it's just really not possible, how we're going to offset the damage of that and making better choices when you are eating out, when you are having to have the processed food, like there's better choices that way. Okay, but really the JERF, think of that, just eat real food, done. And I think if a lot of people did that, our health would be a heck of a lot better. So that is it. I am done. Thank you again so much for coming or attending, because I know, like I said, time is precious. And I will send the recording out to everybody and that registered. And like I said, pass it along, pass on the recording if to your friends. They'll be immensely grateful. Okay, so I will see you at the consultation. Well, I guess I won't see you. I'll talk to you at your consultation. Okay, thanks. See you later.